Okay, here in 6.3 the process will be totally different from 7 version. Okay, so in this example we will cover the differences in user interface layouts. Okay, and also we'll see how to use embedded properties in a user interface. And also we will cover how to use the control dynamic select control. So here in this version we don't use data pages, we will use dynamic select control in order to fetch multiple records from the database. Okay, so these 3 points will be covered in this scenario. So how to use the user interface layouts, and how to use embedded properties, and how to configure dynamic select control from the all parameters, and also how to create an activity from this we will see. Okay, already we created one operator ID. System architect @amazon.com. Rules is the password. Okay, so already we configured one data table, and from the work class we configured the embedded properties. So embedded properties means inheriting properties from the data class. Okay, so physically directly we will not create a property inside the, means just a name we will give for the property. Okay, list name we will provide, but the properties inside this list will be from the data class properties only. Okay, if you directly create a property manually, means those comes under work class properties. Even though these properties are stored under the work class under the list, these properties belongs to data class only. Okay, if a property belongs to data class and saved inside any work class, so these called as embedded properties. Now how to use manual properties and how to use embedded properties in a section means, manual properties if you want to use inside a section, only we can use in smart layout and freeform layout only we can use. And if you want to use these embedded properties, we have to use repeating layout. Okay, so we'll see the how to use these properties inside a section. Okay, apart from this I'm adding 2 manual properties also. Okay, one property name I am taking as grand total, and another property I am giving as total quantity. Okay, see here, this grand total and total quantity are also normal manual properties only. Okay, now we will see how to use them inside a section. User interface section. And here in 6.3 by default, the default layout you will get when you open a section is smart layout with double template. by default when we open a new section, the default layout we get is smart layout with a double template. But if you open in 7 version, their dynamic layout is a default template. Okay, sorry, default layout. Okay, but here in 6.3 we don't have a dynamic layout, so smart layout is a default layout we'll get when we open a new section. Okay, so this is smart layout with double template here. And how to add properties inside this section means same. So how we drag and drop properties from work class to the user interface section, same process here also. But the thing is, if you try to add the list properties from the list option, it will show some error message. So we can add normal properties here. Just I'm showing a sample. Suppose if you take a first name, if you take last name, so here also we can add rows, same process, there is no change. Only thing is, if you try to add the properties from this item list, see, it will throw some message like your property is not part of the class, that is work class. So this class belongs to data class here, Amazon-data product. So if any property belongs to data class, so its smart layout and freeform layout are not supported here. Okay, we cannot configure any embedded property inside smart layout or freeform, also same process. So compulsory we need to use repeating layout in 6.3 version if you want to configure this embedded properties under this item list. Okay, so in order to use these properties, I can add a new layout. Okay, go to the layout category, so drag and drop, and here according to the requirement I'm going with repeating row option. So under this we have some types. Repeating row option, click on OK. Okay, I'm deleting the previous one. Now if you try to add normal properties inside repeating row, again we cannot configure in the repeating row. For example, if you try to add this first name property, so only you will get the label here. Okay, just label we can add, but property name and field name you will not get in the repeating layout. Or if you try to add any this one also, so it will again giving some message like this. So but in order to override this issue, what we have to do is, okay, give me 1 second. Okay, insert a column, sorry, or not after. See, by default we'll get plus symbol and delete symbol. So this plus symbol is for in the runtime if you want to add any rows means, so using the plus symbol we can add any number of rows dynamically. And if you want to delete any row means we will use this delete symbol. Okay, by default we'll get these symbols. Now if you want to add one more column, a new column means we will use insert column after. Means in repeating row we can add any number of columns, and see, property names will display like this. So name we will get here, and in the text box you will get here, and side by side we will add the property names. Okay, side in repeating row property names will be so come side by side. Okay, so here first property, here second property, next field here. So like this, how many fields are there, so based on that we can add any number of columns in the repeating row layout. Now see, first of all, if you try to add a property, we are getting a message like, so the property is not part of this class. So what we can do is, if you see the repeating layout settings, you can see one message here. list or group is unspecified. Okay, it is saying that list or group name is unspecified. Okay, and this option you will get only for the repeating layout, you will not get for smart layout or freeform. Okay, so if you specify the list name, we can add the properties under this repeating layout. Okay, if you specify the list or group name, then we can add these properties inside the repeating layout. So if you go to the settings, layout settings, we have an option called list or group. Okay, if you click on down arrow, you will get the list name. Now click on close. So here from this item list option, now we can add properties inside this repeating layout. So while adding these properties, so first property name, so in the first column, second row we have to drag. In the first column, second row drag and drop. Now second property, in the second column, second row. Next beside we have one more column, and finally add total. Okay, so we have to configure the things later. So dynamic select control we have to configure, and we need to create one activity. So all those things we will do later. So before this, I am adding one more layout, and I am taking a free form. Okay, for using the grand total property and total quantity property, I am using this free form layout. Because manual properties, we have to use a smart layout or free form layout. Okay, save this section temporarily. Okay. Next step is, our requirement is now, so perform dynamic fetch. Okay, how to perform dynamic fetch in 6.3. so in previous version, if you do the same thing, if you want to configure the same thing, there we will use the data page, and inside the data page we'll configure all the list of properties directly. Okay, no need to create embedded properties there. Manually you will create a property and you will configure the properties inside the section using the repeating grid you can use there. And directly manual properties we can configure in the repeating layout in 7 version. And then later we'll create a data page and we'll configure activity, and finally data page will configure in the layout settings will configure the data page. That is a process in a 7 version, but here we don't have a data page concept here. Compulsory we need to follow this process, that is using dynamic select control we need to configure all the parameters, and then we have to configure activity from the same class, from the work class only we will configure the activity. Okay, we will see now the process here. My requirement is, I want to dynamically fetch records for the item name property. Okay, because from this table we have only records for item name. So first of all we will see how to dynamically fetch records for item name property. Okay, for that, okay, in 6.3 version we have something like check-in and checkout tool. When you save any rule for the first time, whenever we save any rule for the first time, it will go to check-in mode. You can see here right now, if you want to do any modifications or if you want to do any changes within this section, it will not allow you currently, because when you save any rule for the first time, it will be in read-only mode. So in read-only mode, we cannot do any modifications for this rule. Not only this rule, when you save any rule for the first time, it will go to the check-in mode. What we need to do is, if you want to update anything, we have to click on checkout option. So here you can see there is a checkout option. Click on checkout. Now any modifications if you want to perform, we can do it now. Here in check-in, by default for the first time it will go to check-in mode. Then if you want to do any modifications or anything, any changes to the rule, not only this section, any rule I am saying, any modifications if you want to do for any rule, we have to click on checkout. Then after changing anything inside the rule, after changing any modifications inside the rule, again you will click on check-in option. Okay, manually in the real time, manually you will click on the check-in option. It will work in the enterprise edition of all the versions. So here in personal 7 version it will not work, this one. So by default, so if you want to do any modifications, click on checkout. So here check-in will be always read only. If you again click on check-in, it will be in read only mode. If you want to do any additions or modifications, it will be, we must add to the checkout mode. Okay, so that is like a version control tool where it will maintain all the history about that particular rule. Okay, overall history will be maintained in the history tab. Okay, we can see, so when it is created and who updated the records, okay, who updated the rule. So all the operator ID history will be there inside the history of that particular rule, because so same rule, it can be modified by different developers one after one. One day one developer will work, another day some other developer may modify that one. So entire history will be there in the history tab. Okay, so who created that first time and who modified the rule. So like that, not only in this version, so every version it will be common. Okay, here it is not showing. Okay, you can see here full history is there, right? So operator ID, so operator ID name, so date and time, okay, system ID, so everything will be updated in the history details. Okay, so next thing is we have to configure this one by adding the control called dynamic select. Okay, dynamic select control is available till 6.3 version. From 7.1 this control is deprecated. Okay, how to add a control means, okay, there are two different ways. We can go to advanced tab and we can drag and drop this dynamic select control, but if you add from here, we have to modify the label and we have to modify the field name and everything. So instead of that, the easy procedure is, if you go to this field settings, you can see here, if you go to this field settings, under the cell properties you have option called control. So from the control option, select okay, you will get one option called dynamic select. So same, so control name is dynamic select. So in the backend automatically control will configure, but the thing is we need to configure some parameters. After adding the control, from here also we have to open this one and we have to configure some parameters inside the control. Okay, so after giving the name as dynamic select, here go to this configure control. Okay, it will open a new parameter window. Inside this we have to configure all the required parameters. Okay, first thing is, so the way of generating the dynamic select or the method for generating dynamic select. So generally we have some other options, but only activity, using activity only it's possible. Okay, so use activity as the option here, and generally we have to give the information about that activity. Okay, under which class we'll configure that activity. Okay, we are creating everything inside the sample. Then give the name of that activity. Okay, give some name, and in the next step with the same name we need to configure the activity rule. Okay, using this name, in the next step configure a new activity. Class of return results means from which data class we are going to get the records for the item name property. Enter that class name. Okay, class name is Amazon-data-product is the name of the class. And then we have some more details we have to fill. Common dynamic select information. Okay, here it is okay, select ID, just give ID. Okay, caption you can give anything if you want, you can give, or else leave it blank. I'm giving like select item name. Next, property for option display, item name, property for option value, item name, uncheck enable caching, click on OK. Okay, click on close, save this form. Okay, no need to worry about the warnings and all. Okay, now next step is configure this activity name. Okay, what are the name we have given inside this settings, dynamic select control configuration settings. With the same name we need to configure one activity. And method is same. For fetching multiple records for single property we will use obj browse method. Okay, see here we need to configure. See, in 7 version when we use a data page concept we will not configure any pages and classes in activity, but here we don't have a data page concept here, so compulsory we need to use the pages and classes in 6 till 6.3 version. So class name is data class name, and page name is page name. You can do any name for this. Okay, any name we can give. Go to steps tab, and here under the step pane give the step page name. Method is obj browse. Okay, we need to configure parameters for obj browse method. Expand, and page name in 7 version we'll use data page name in the page name, but here we don't have a data page concept. What are the user page name you created here, right? The same name we have to give here. And next obj class is data class name. Okay, now use property. Under the field option select property name, and okay, here in 6.3 version along with obj browse we can use one more method, that is show page method. There is a one more method called show page method, where it will load. After loading the data, this show page method will display all the records in the drop down. Okay, you can use that method in the second step. Okay, just we'll use the method, no need to configure any parameters. Okay, method name is show page, just use that method. And here in 6.3 we need to configure some security settings also, so not required in 7 version. but here in 6 till 6.3 we have to configure some security settings. Now go to security, select may start option, so manually we have to start the configuration, and uncheck authenticate option and save this activity. Okay, see this activity already configured from the item name property settings. Okay, from the dynamic select control settings, activity name is already configured, no need to call it again anywhere. So already in the control configure settings we have given the activity name, so activity will be called from the section, from the property, from the dynamic select control configuration settings we are calling this activity now. Next step is add a flow action. Okay, save this one. Next, once check this one, so whether the data is loading or not, we will check configure flow. Okay, add flow action name. Here we have to again some start settings we have to manually give in 6.3. Create a new work object, skip create harness. Okay, run this flow. Okay, click on add arrow, you'll get a text box. When you click on down arrow, you can see all the records. Okay, in the runtime, if you want to add more rows, we can add more rows here. Okay, so like this process is, so the controls we use and the settings we use will be slightly different in this 6.3 version. So maximum this is the only main difference, and this is most important. Okay, wherever you go they'll ask for this scenario. So difference between dynamic fetch in 6.3 and 7.1. okay, this is the main difference in the configuration in dynamic fetch if you compare with 6.3 and 7.1. so this scenario they will ask in the interviews, and within this, okay, using the same scenario I will apply some declare expressions also. Okay, my requirement is if I select any record here, whenever I select any record it should automatically display the price. Okay, if I select item 2 it should display the price, if I select item 5 it should display the price automatically. Means I am going to set some static condition using a decision table. Using decision table I will set a condition, and whenever I select any record from the item name property, automatically it should display the price. And okay, for this we need to define some expression. We have to define for the price property. After adding a condition, we need to define an expression for the price property, and when I select any record, it will display the price. Then if I enter quantity, it should display total. Then okay, based on item, based on the price and quantity, it should calculate total, and based on this total, it should automatically update grand total and total quantity. For these two properties also, we need to define a declare expression rule. Okay, we'll see this now. So starting from, first of all, for the price property, we need to set a price automatically based on the item name. So where the records are there, inside that class only we have to define the condition now. See, if you define condition directly inside the work class, means so it will not work here, because all the records currently are inside the data class. Okay, if you see all the records, what are the records we have, right? All these records are from the data class and data from the data table. While defining conditions also, we have to define condition inside the data class only. Okay, so how to go to the data class means, similarly in 7 version we'll have inside application explorer, we have a class explorer, we can navigate the data classes. Here also inside application explorer, so directly if you click on this arrow option, you can see all the classes here. Okay, you can access the data class also. Amazon-data-product is the data class name. Okay, you can see here also, you can see the same rules, and you can see the property names from the data class. Okay, actually the records are also exist inside the properties only, but you cannot see physically. They are stored inside the data class table. They are stored. Okay, right now under the data class you can see the property names. Now within this class only we need to define the condition related to this item name and everything. Okay, inside this data class we are going to define a condition. I'm using decision table, and decision table only will suit this requirement. Actually these some types of static conditions, and end user also can modify them. End user means the client can, so who is using the application, means who is the main client of the application, they can modify these static conditions. So whenever there is a change in the prices and all, they can update. So some access they'll give for them. So not using the PEGA tool, some format will be different for them. Generally, first of all, while adding conditions, we'll give the name of the property. For which property we can add conditions. So normally if you go to any supermarket apps and online apps something, so they can automatically, they can update the price. So who is having the administrator access, they can update the price. Like this I'm giving some static conditions. Okay, so item names and all you will not get in the drop down. Manually we have to give a name while defining the condition. And in the return option, define some results. Save this condition. Okay, go back to the, if you click on refresh, it will go back to the work class now. Okay, only condition will define inside the data class, and we'll configure this condition from the declare expression rule for the price property. Okay, not inside the data class. If you refresh, it will go to the work class now. Now from the work class, already we have properties, embedded properties, right, under the item list. For the price property we have to configure the condition now. Okay, using declare expressions, I told you we can configure, means we can call conditions inside declare expression rule. Now for the price property we have to add this condition. Okay, so how it will be means, whenever we, then what happens, so these results we are mapping to the price. So okay, what are the records we have, whenever we select item 1, these results are mapping to the price property now. So the thing is, after defining the condition, whenever end user select a record here under the item name, so I, based on that, I am mapping the results to the price property. So further, using the declare expression we can set the price now. Right click on price, define expression. Okay, click on create option. Okay, here coming to the function, we are going to call a condition, that is decision table. Okay, in order to call the decision table, function name is result of decision table is the function, result of decision table. Now in the drop down you can select the condition. So this is the name of the condition, save that one. Next thing, okay, then coming to the other things, for the total property we need to define expression. Okay, total is nothing but based on item name. Okay, price is displayed, price into quantity is nothing but total. Okay, define expression for total, right click on property, define expression. And coming to this, so if you want, here we are performing multiplication of two properties. So then total is nothing but value of price into, okay, click on dot option, price into quantity. Okay, so total is equal to value of price into quantity. Save this expression. And within that page we need to define expression for grand total and total quantity also. Right click on grand total, define expression, and here for setting grand total is what, total of all the records, means if you add 3 or 4 records in the runtime. Okay, so for each record we have a specific total will be there, like, so total for item 1, total for item 2, total for item 3, means grand total is nothing but sum of all the totals. Okay, sum of all the totals. So here we will use expression as, so generally I told you previously, if you want to perform addition of single property we need to use sum of function. If value of means multiple properties, addition of multiple properties means value of, and here we are using only the sum of one property only, but the values will be multiple values. Okay, all the values are for total only, so but we are doing the sum of single property, that is sum of. Okay, when you click on down arrow, first of all the properties from the work class it will show, right? So here it is showing the list name now. Okay, so from that list name, first of all select the list name and click on dot option, select total, because the properties are directly not under the sample, under the data model property. So inside the data model property, properties are under the list name. Okay, we have to select the list name dot total as the expression here, means grand total is equal to sum of item list dot total. and same thing similarly for total quantity also. Sum of item list dot quantity. Save this expression. Okay, now expression is different for all these things. Okay, some small changes in the control settings or behavior settings. Okay, here coming to the behavior. Okay, in 7 version we used to call it as action, right? And here in 6.3 it is called as behavior of a property. Okay, so how to set a action or how to set a behavior of a property means, okay, for item here in this scenario we need to set a behavior for item name property and quantity property, because whenever we change the value here it should automatically update the price, means refresh the page. And whenever we enter the quantity manually or dynamically or static value, so based on quantity it should calculate total here, means so for item name property and quantity property we need to set the behavior or action. Okay, set a behavior for these two fields. Go to settings, go to behavior settings, and for both the fields on change is the event and action refresh section. Click on save, click on close. Similarly for quantity also, go to settings, event is change, on change, action refresh this section. Click on save. Okay, save this one. Okay, now once run the flow. Okay, everything is configured. Now whenever I select a record in the item name, it should display the price automatically. If I enter quantity, it should display total. And also if I in the runtime, if I add one more row and one more record, if I configure, it should update the grand total and total quantity. So just check this. Okay, if I select any record, it will display the price automatically. Okay, so like this, so we can define expressions based on our requirement within the application. So these simple expressions only will define, will not define more complex. So most of the time, so these simple expressions at property level means it will be like this. Okay, and page level expressions also simple expressions only, but the difference between declare expressions and property level, that is page level expressions, is page level expressions will define from the activity level and property expressions will define from the declare expressions rule. Okay, and this is the difference between 6.3 to 7 and other rules maximum common. Okay, one more thing I'll show you, the DCO. Okay, how to set up an application using the DCO here. Okay, here this is the application menu here. Okay, same process from the application menu. If you go to this new application, the thing is here we have some different options and different names will be there. Okay, application express generally we will not use in the 6.3, so it is just use it for mock applications only. So in the real time they will use application profiler and application accelerator. Okay, so these two will be used for building new applications in 6.3 version. Okay, coming to this profiler, So what the profiler will do is, profiler will generate all the non-technical requirements they will configure in the profiler, and in the accelerator all the technical stuff. Means in profiler, business analyst will define all the name of the application, the structure of the application, the process flows and all, the structure of flows and all configured by the business analyst. Later in the application accelerator, the technical team like lead architects or and all, they'll configure the system requirements, okay, within the class, and any frameworks, any subclasses, okay, all those configuration will be done by the lead architects. Okay, so they will configure, same thing will be there, so but the structure only they will give in the profiler. Later in the accelerator, they will configure the system requirements, okay, what are the specifications, business requirements and all, whom, for whom the work must be assigned, okay, so who must perform this task, okay, so whom the task should be assigned, all those things and all those technical things they will configure by the lead architects in the applications. Okay, so generally we will not, developers will not involve, but just we need to have knowledge on this. Okay, we will see a quick overview. So if you click on application profile, in 7 these two options is deprecated, and they directly included a application express as a application setup tool. Okay, so here also you'll get an option to enter the application under build on which structure and application name. Okay, so business objectives, project description and all they will provide. Click on OK. So after giving the name of the application and everything, so again it will directly go to the process. Okay, because in 6.3 we don't have a cases, okay, directly. So the best way is we can directly configure from the process what are all the stages and steps we have, they can directly configure from the process. Okay, this is like a primary path and all is like a stage names. Okay, so the primary stages, and under this how many steps you want to give, you can add. So like this, so they can configure the design. Business analyst will do this entire structure based on the project flow and everything, and here they can configure different shapes. Okay, at process level there will be 4 types of shapes will be there. The 4 types of shapes are assignment shape, utility shape, sub-process and integrator shape. Okay, if you see, human based shape is nothing but assignment shape, integration shape, a sub-process, and automated shape, nothing but utility shape. Okay, so the names will be in this format. Human based is nothing but assignment, integration is same, sub-process for any, from the process flow if they want to configure any screen flows or any subflows, they will, from the process flow if they want to configure screen flows or process flows, they'll use the sub-process. Means, so from the sub-process we can create screen flows, and also process flows also we can configure. And automated shape is nothing but adding the logic, so in which point, at which step they want to define the utility, so they'll give this automated shape. Okay, so this only the structure they will configure by the business analyst. Okay, only they will configure the structure by the business analyst. Okay, next other non-technical things like what are all the integration background information. Okay, these are all the things are not there in the 7 version, because so directly within the process or within the case, from case level they can configure. So this information, just giving the description information is not required in 7 version. So these are all the some other steps. Any reporting information they want to configure, they will give here. Correspondence information, any assumptions means any suggestions or what any requirements and all, they will configure here. And participants means what are all the roles required and what are all the essentials and all, so there will be there. And project explorer, so finally, so just click on finish. So they will configure this, and it will switch to the, now we have to generate the application. Once after generating, it will switch to the accelerated now. Okay, so same application we are going to process from the technical level. Click on OK. No changes in the application names. Okay, later we have to give the organization layer, the frameworks and all we have to configure here. Just click on OK. Okay, change the organization names. Okay, so next click on again, you'll get the same steps. What are the steps configured in the process? Same steps, but in these shapes, right? So they will configure the technical specifications, means what are the work we have developers has to do in the application, and what are any attachments if they want to add, they will add the attachments. So the work requirement they can add in the description or in attachment format also they can add. Okay, so like this for every assignment, actually work assignment or work routing will be done from the assignment shape only. Okay, in this assignment properties only they will define the requirements. Okay, so what are the specific business requirements, so what developers has to do based on the assignment work, so everything will define in this document or in attachment format also they can add. Okay, so all these things will be taken care by the lead architects. Next, again same thing, any class configuration or any changes in the classes they'll update here. Then same reporting information, corresponding information, same thing from the, it will take from the profiler. Then what are all the roles, then explorer, and finally create an application and review that. The review means it will generate the application now, final application. Click on build option. So all these things are configured as part of the application setup. Okay. So here we can see the preview also, but in 7 they didn't give the preview. In any version all these things will be configured, but there you cannot see the preview. Here you can see the preview. Okay, it will take some time. Yes, tell me. No, why you will not get 6.3, just but in real time some migration projects also will be there. No need to have knowledge on any 6.3 version, any version, only certification is totally dependent on 7.1 only. No, for certification not required. For certification nothing is required. Only 7 you will get. Any question in any topic from the 7 only certification will be there. So CSA 7.1 means only from the 7, because 6.3 certification is already means already they deleted that one. So no question and no scenarios or no topics will come from 6.3. But some projects will be there. Okay, from even though if you work on 7, some migration projects and some support projects will be there. So like some slight knowledge and tool knowledge must be there. Okay, so overall thing is other things. So what are the things I showed? Only these are the differences, and remaining things is same as 7. If you take any other rule now, okay, other things like other thing, decision rules, declarative rules, same concept is same. Only thing is some user interface layouts and some settings inside the user interface layouts, so those will be different, and remaining things as usual. So if you take any other rule now, so remaining every rule will be same as in 7 only. Okay, only the look and feel of the tool is different. Okay, so the remaining things, the configuration, the main concept, so the purpose of the tools, so everything is same. and certification you will get only from 7 days, so nothing you will get from 6.3. 6.3 means separate certification will be there previously before 2014 December 31st, not 2014, yeah, 2015. From 2015 Jan 1st, this PEGA 7 certification came into existence. Okay, so the expiry 2014 December 31st, this 6.3 certification is expired. Okay, so after 2015 Jan 1st, so this PEGA 7 is there. Okay, so certification is only on 7 only, don't worry. Okay, so application is setup is done. Generally if you directly, we can open the new application, or else if you log off from the tool and if you re-log in, automatically you can see the new application. So if you click on this option, switch to new application, it will directly open the new application in the Explorer, application Explorer. Okay, so this is also one way for creating a new application. Okay, so if suppose if you want to go back to the previous one, suppose anytime if you want to change the application, overall application, if you want to change means we can change from the access group, any version, not only this version, any version. If you want to change the name of the application and everything means, if you want to access a different application means, go to access group, from the work pool, okay, change the name of here, application name here, and in the settings option we'll change the rule set name. Save this one. Okay, now if you click on refresh, automatically you'll get the previous one. Okay, so like this, from the access group option we can change the applications. Okay, so and then, so one more thing is, I want to show correspondence actually. So how to add email notifications, because email notifications I can configure in 7, but personal edition 7 version I cannot send the email notifications directly. Okay, so I can configure, till configuration it will work in 7, but if you want to send email notifications in 7.1 version, so personal edition is not supported. Okay, so this one thing I will show in the 6.3 version, how to configure email notifications and how to send it to the, okay, from ID will configure and we'll give it 2 email address, and automatically what are the notification message we define, it will be sent to the 2 address. Okay, so it will work in the 6.3 version personal edition, but in 7.1 so it will not work. So this email notification, this rule I will show it in the 6.3 version. Okay, so this one I will show it tomorrow. So okay, for configuring the email notifications actually, so we have to configure from the, actually this final notification we have to configure from assignment tab, but before adding the messages and all, we have to configure few rules, like correspondence rule we have to configure, work parties we have to configure. I will tell you about what is correspondence, what is work parties. Outbound email we have to configure, and finally these 2 steps from the assignment shape we have to add, from the assignment shape properties, or from the flow you can assume as a flow, because correspondence name will configure in the assignment properties and work party name will configure from the process tab. Okay, that one, what is the purpose of this, how to add these notifications and how to configure this notification. and how to send to the means in personal version we'll test whether the notification is sending or not. Okay, so for that we need to configure the outbound email. Okay, so some company email ID in the real time means they'll configure a company ID and they'll set up the email ID. So here in the personal edition you can give your own IDs, suppose Gmail ID, Yahoo, Outlook, so Hotmail, any ID we can give. Okay, so accordingly we'll configure the outbound email. Then if it is successfully connected, then we can send a notification message to the to address. Okay, so that configuration we can do in 7 also. I will show in 7 also, but there sending is not possible. So till configuration and after adding in the flow, but testing while you test in the 7 version, so it will not work in the 7 version. So same configuration, so but in 7 version I will show the other process. So 7 also we can do. There are two different ways. One process I will show in 6.3 version, and another scenario, another process for sending notifications I will show in 7 version. Okay, two different ways we can send these notifications. From activity rule we can send, and directly from the assignment we can send. Okay, in 6.3 version I will show the process using the assignment shape, and in 7 version I will show the process using the activity rule. Okay, so this one we will see tomorrow. Okay, so any questions guys?